Good morning, lovely people. Well, my shift starts at 10 today, and I thought, okay, there's going to be a lot of traffic, so I'll allow an hour. I usually allow 45, and I'm always there at least 15 minutes before my shift starts, which is good. Gives me time to go to the bathroom, put my uniform vest on, and get my radio and all that sort of thing. Today I got here super early. Parts of it were really slow, but the rest of it was quite easy. So I think what I'm going to do is do a little bit more browsing around the store. I like to do that, not necessarily to look for things to buy, but just so that I can learn where everything is and help out people who are asking for directions and specific products. It's another beautiful day. So many leaves are yellow and red now. Just in the week we were away, there was a big change. And when I got up this morning, it was 0 and the garden was a little frosty. Feels really nice. I'm not very with it this evening. I completely forgot I had recorded a little segment earlier this morning. And I thought I was just going to have to do a little chat with you tonight, and that was going to be everything. Still going to be a pretty short vlog, I think. Made myself a nice hot cocoa, and I've been watching The Bay again tonight. I had to abandon it on BritBox just before the holiday. Couldn't have a late night that last night before we went away because I needed to have a good night's sleep because I knew I was not going to sleep well on the plane. So I just had to switch it off at an appropriate time, and it wasn't even at the end of an episode, and leave it. So I picked up where I left off, and it got very emotional, that last episode I was watching. Oh dear. Really enjoying it though. While I was mostly watching The Bay, I was also doing some crochet. And I was mostly able to do both at the same time. It was probably not really multitasking, but probably just alternating tasking. Watching a bit of the TV and then paying attention to the pattern and then doing my crochet. I'm having a little bit of an issue with this pattern. If you haven't seen what I've done so far, I'll just do a little recap. So this is my project for our Slapdash Colour Mal 2024. I started this. When did we start this? Beginning of September, was it? I started this make-along because I love to have something warm, cozy to work on when the evenings get longer and darker. And because I have tons of blankets, I've been focusing more on garments in the last couple of years. My closet is now bursting at the seams. So the Technicolor Dream Coat by Earth Tricks is what this pattern is. Although I know her versions are far more aesthetically pleasing because she has tended to keep it within a more limited colour family. So she has one that's maybe greens and purples or something like that, whereas I went for 12 colours, very different colours, and it's a little wacky. I'm partly regretting not keeping the colour palette a little more limited. But hey, it's fun. So I don't know if you remember, but before I did say that there was a couple of places where things didn't seem to have been proofread or tested properly or edited properly. In a couple of places, the stitch didn't seem to be the right stitch, or the numbers didn't seem to be right, or it just wasn't written as if you're talking to a beginner. I feel like when you write a pattern, and I have done a few of my own designs, which are on my blog, my Nicolaknits blog, I feel like you really need to try and speak to the beginner. Admittedly, there are patterns that are complicated and are normally only tackled by more advanced knitters or crocheters, but I try to make my patterns super clear, no ambiguity. Well, this one has some ambiguity in places, and I got through the body of the coat, and that's fine. And then I put it aside for a couple of weeks while I focused very, very intensely on the hoodie-saurus for my great nephew. And then tonight, I thought it's time to drag it all out of the bag, pick up the hook again, and get going on the hood. So let's see, where's that? It's here. Oh. That's not really the ideal thing, is it? Sitting on your leg, Nicola? No, it isn't. I just unraveled a bit. Oh, shoot. All right. So I assumed that the hood would probably be started by working on the top of the coat neckline. I thought, okay, that makes sense. You know, you're probably just going to crochet on the neckline and work the hood up from there. No, you apparently work the hood from the tip. There are two styles of hood. There's a rounded one and a long pointed one, and I want to do the long pointed one, of course. And so this is where it starts. So right now I'm at a bobble row, and right from the get-go I was having issues with this because she says to do chain 3, which counts as the double crochet, and then she tells you to do X amount of double crochets. Well, if you do the stitches she says plus your chain 3, you end up with the wrong number. So I started counting my chain 3 as my first double. And sometimes I use a standing stitch, like when I've changed color, I'll do a standing stitch, and so I don't do a chain 3 at all. And that's fine, because then you just go straight into counting the stitches. But I fudged it up to here, and this is where I really hit an issue, because this round here, this pink round here, well, firstly she said half double and then a double crochet decrease, well, or increase. That doesn't make sense. To do half doubles and then a double crochet increase. So I didn't, I just did all double crochets. Then when I did this row, I've done it a couple of times and it's not working out because I have 18 stitches in the pink, and I'm supposed to be doing these bobbles interspersed with 3 single crochets in the back loop. So that's a multiple of 4, so I'm working in the round, it's a multiple of 4 stitches. Well, I think even an 8-year-old could tell you that 4 doesn't go into 18. So I'm probably going to end up with a wonky result, because once I've done this last bobble here, which has started to unravel because I just yanked the yarn, I've got 3 single crochets over here. So really my last bobble should have landed just before this big loop of yarn from the previous round, and it's not. I've got 2 extra stitches, of course. So that means I'm going to have 5 stitches between bobbles on this side and only 3 on the rest of them. And that annoys me. So I suppose what I could do is just ignore the whole bobble round and not do bobbles at all. There's an idea. Because really, this is such a tiny round. Who cares if there are bobbles there or not? I could just put some on later on. Yeah. So at the moment, I'm a bit frustrated with that. What I feel like doing is making a whole long list of all the corrections I think she should make to the pattern and then send it to her. I'm sure she had the pattern tested. I'm not sure. I would have thought she had the pattern tested before selling it as a paid pattern. It doesn't bode well for future creations, because I do like the stuff she makes, and she makes some really wild hats and vests and other garments, and it's putting me off wanting to buy any more of her patterns, which is not a good thing, really. So yeah, it was a pretty uneventful day. After I spoke to you this morning, I went into the store and I did my shift, and it was just 4 hours, by the end of which my foot was hurting, so I was very grateful I was going to the acupuncturist afterwards. It was busy. We had our truck in. So Wednesdays are truck days, and it comes in at 3 a.m. I'm very glad I'm not one of the people who is there unpacking and receiving goods at 3 o'clock in the morning. And by the time I got there at 10, there was a lot of boxes out on the floor, and so all I had to do was grab a cart, put a box in there, tie a bag to the handle of the cart for all the empty plastic bags, and trundle off to the scrapbooking section and start putting things away. What with all the helping customers out and the being on cash for breaks and that sort of thing, I ended up emptying 2 boxes and the beginning of a third, and then it was time to go home. Well, no, not home, the acupuncturist. So this guy is one I've been to before a long time ago, and Mr. Stitches is going to him on a fairly regular basis at the moment as well. And yeah, he put needles in my elbows, the inside crook of my elbows, quite a few down this side of my hand here, and then a few down by my ankle. I'm really hoping that with a little course of sessions with him, that my plantar fasciitis will stop hurting me, because it's really annoying. He did tell me to try and rest the foot a bit, and I said, oh, okay, does that mean I have to cut back on the walking? Well, duh, Nicola, of course it does. And so I think what I'm going to have to do is, if I have a shift one day, then I won't walk that day as well. So instead of having 10,000 steps, I'll just have the 5 or whatever it is for 4 hours at work. And on non-working days, I will go for a walk, but not too long, because I really want this to be gone. Well, that's really it for the day. As I said, not super eventful. I hope you had a good day. I hope you're enjoying the season wherever you live, whether it's in the Northern Hemisphere or the Southern Hemisphere. And I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye for now.